Permit me to especially congratulate the proprietor and chairman board of trustees, Crescent University Abeokuta, in person of Prince Maruf Ajibola, a senior advocate of Nigeria, on this auspicious occasion. Permit me to also congratulate the chairman of this occasion, in person of our Vice Chancellor, who is a Vice Chancellor of Achievement, or simply Achievement Personified Vice Chancellor, Professor Ibrahim Bajatia. A round of applause for them, please. On behalf of the Vice Chancellor, I have the privilege and honor to welcome all our distinguished scholars, our distinguished professors, our deans of colleges, our directors and heads of departments, and of course, our distinguished guests, gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen, to this pioneer inaugural lecture to be delivered today by our distinguished Professor of Resource and Development Economics, who doubles as the Deputy Vice Chancellor of this great citadel of academic and moral excellence, Professor Rasaki Olufemi Kareem. On behalf of the Vice Chancellor, I am welcoming the University Registrar, Dr. Ajibola, the University Librarian, Dr. Mulukat Salah, the University Bursar, Alhaji Trinizi Badibo Mepu FCA, to this auspicious occasion. I am also welcoming our distinguished academic, lecturers, scholars, Dean Katmas, Emeritus Professor Kamaldeen Balogun, Dean Bola College of Law, Dr. Saliu Jimo, Dean College of Natural and Applied Sciences, Dr. Jadesola Sanusi. I've been informed that the procession is very close to the auditorium. The procession is close to the auditorium. And as soon as the procession is here, the program starts immediately. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, can we give a round of applause for ourselves? I also welcome the Dean of the College of Information and Communication Technology, Dr. Maruf Oyelaki, Dean, School of Postgraduate Studies, Professor Amidu Mustafa, Dean, College of Environmental Sciences, Professor Dean, Student Affairs, Dr. Kareem, Director Research and Innovation, Professor Babalola, Director ICT, Scholar Omishore, Director CCD, Professor Anthony Moretti, Director Audit, Dr. Kareem. Academic procession is here. The Vice Chancellor's procession is here. Ladies and gentlemen, I welcome our distinguished scholars. I welcome the University Orator, Dr. Surajiki Jola Oso. I welcome our distinguished heads of department, our distinguished directors, our distinguished team. I can also see the Deputy Registrar, Senate and Admission, Director Academic Planning, Director Research and Innovation, Director CCD, Director School of Postgraduate Studies, Director Dean Seacott, Dean School of Postgraduate Studies, Dean Student Affairs, Dean Kona, and our distinguished Dean Kasmat, Emeritus Professor Kamaldeen Balogun. A round of applause, please. The University Board staff. Shall we rise, please? The University Board staff, the University Registrar, the Inaugural Lecturer himself, the Vice Chancellor, and ultimately the Proprietor and Chairman Board of Trustees. Can we give another round of applause for ourselves? Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the program commences now with the national anthem. On this auspicious occasion of the final inaugural lecture to be delivered here today by our distinguished Professor of Resource and Development Economics and the Deputy Vice Chancellor of Crescent University Abeokuta, Professor Rasaki Olufemi Kareem. Congratulations. I call on the University Imam, Sheikh Osman Fati, for the opening dua.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. We thank Almighty Allah, we praise Him, we glorify Him for this opportunity I come today. May Allah be with one of us. Our proprietor, our founder, the founder of Crescent University. We have to remember our prayer, we rest in perfect peace. May Allah make his support and send up because of the day of resurrection. Our proprietor, Muhammad Adisebu Ajibola Sa, may Allah be with you. May Allah continue to protect you for all, and all members of your family. The peace, mercy, and blessings of Allah be upon you. I pray for the life of our society, our lecture of today. Yalla be with you, Yalla guide you. Our five centers, Yalla be with you. Continue to protect you for all. Long life and all members of principals of officer of this great university. Yalla be with everyone of us. Our HOD, all beings and all. Everybody gathered here today, Yalla be with you also. So, the listener, those that attended here today to witness this program, may Allah continue to be with every one of us. I wish all of you success, mercy in your life. In the name of Allah we pray, the Almighty Allah accept our prayer. Al-Fatiha. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Ar-Rahmanir-Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. صلى الله عليه وسلم.
We thank the University Imam for the opening dua. Without further ado, I welcome the proprietor and chairman board of trustees, Prince Maru Adeokuta, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. I welcome the Vice Chancellor, Professor Ibrahim Bajabamila. I welcome the University Registrar, Barrister Zakaria Ajibola, ably represented by Deputy Registrar Establishment Alhaj Hakim Dawood in our midst. Pardon me, I welcome the University Librarian, Dr. Mulkat Salam in our midst. I also recognize the University Doctor Alhaji Trinity Baripo of Melbourne. I recognize today's inaugural lecturer, a distinguished professor of research and development economics and the deputy vice chancellor of this prestigious university, Crescent University of Abeokuta, Professor Rasaki, Olufemi, Kareem. No more than that, I also recognize his elected wife, Professor Kareem, a professor of pathology and plant biology. Thank you for taking care of our prof. Congratulations. I recognize our distinguished Dean of College of Arts, Social and Management Sciences, Emeritus Professor Kamal Balogo in our midst. I recognize Dean, College of Natural and Applied Sciences, Dr. Dadesola Sanusi in our midst. I recognize Dean, Bola Ajibola College of Law, Dr. Sali Ujuma in our midst. I recognize Dean, College of Information and Communication Technology, Dr. Maruf Oyelani, here present. I recognize Dean, School of Postgraduate Studies, Professor Amidu Mustafa, here present. I recognize Dean, College of Environmental Sciences, Professor Olawale Ajibola in our midst. I recognize Director of Research and Innovation, Professor Babalola, here present. I recognize Director of ICT, Scholar Omishore. I recognize Director CSED, my teacher, Professor Anthony Oredi, here present. I recognize Director of Audit, Dr. Kayode Yakin, here present. I recognize Director of Academic Planning, in charge of Quality Control of the University Program, Mr. Adijale Adebute. I recognize all our distinguished guests here present. I recognize the friends and families of the inaugural lecturer of today. I have done a roll call of their names here. Congratulations to all of us and a very big round of applause. Without further ado, permit me to invite our distinguished Vice Chancellor to do the introduction of the guest lecturer. I call on Professor Ibrahim Bajabamila, the Vice Chancellor, to mount the stage.
I want to welcome you to this historic occasion. Before going further, I think in such an occasion, you have to always pay tribute to the founder of this university, His Excellency Konbola Adeokuta. I want to indulge if you could just give us a 1 minute silence, if you could rise, a 1 minute silence for Konbola Adeokuta. May his soul rest in perfect peace. It's important that we appreciate the sacrifice of Konbola Adeokuta in establishing this university for the benefit of our visitors, for the benefit of those online that are not aware of the history of this university. His Excellency Konbola Adeokuta is a distinguished Nigerian. He has been the ambassador to the UK. He has been Attorney General, Minister of Justice. He has served as a World Court at the Hague, and one of the only few Nigerians in that position. And one of the challenges that he faced, that is always of concern to him, is the education of our children. He said that as an ambassador, he has visited over 60 countries. And there is no country he visited where he did not meet Nigerians, especially even in the coldest part like Iceland. Baba was concerned that around the period of 25 years ago, the total carrying capacity of the Nigerian system was about 300,000 students. And of course, the total application for JAM was roughly about 1 million. So you can imagine 1 million trying to sit on 300,000 spaces. But what he was also concerned about was the situation that he said whenever he was at the World Cup and he introduced himself as the judge from Nigeria, they would say that is the place where they don't care about education, because 20% of children out of school in the whole world are in Nigeria. He said it was of a great concern to him, knowing that he came from Ogun State, Abeokuta, where our parents cherish education, to be told at the age that we do not care about education, and for the last 40 years, the number of our children have not been able to get into school, and 20%. So it's quite a challenge for him. Those of you who know this campus, you will see the 3-bedroom bungalows. It was intended to be a housing estate, the hostel, the registry, and the vice chancellor's office. So we applied for a license which was granted exactly 20 years ago. That license was a trigger for him to convert this housing estate into a university, and that has been his lifelong ambition, to sell all his properties, to establish this university, to appreciate well-wishers, to contribute to the development of this university. That was his lifelong ambition, which I can say, towards the end of his life, he was extremely pleased that some of the things that he wished for had been achieved, and left the rest in our care to proceed. We are very pleased that when we started with roughly about 300 students 20 years ago, we had a situation with 3 colleges trying to establish the university and to make its way. And of course, a number of philanthropists came on board to assist him, too numerous to mention, but Aliko Dangote built the university bus and built 2 hostels for us. Further, we all Femi Kareem, a number of distinguished people establish the protocol for assisting and establishing the university. A number of people also in our colleagues from the Federal University of Abeokuta to now, a number of them are here, and we appreciate their support to establishing the university. We must also recall the pioneering efforts of our vice chancellors, deans of studies, and all the people that have contributed to this university. What we have been able to achieve today, I will proudly say that once we started with 300 students in those 3 colleges, we have now moved much forward. One of the things that Baba was very proud of at that time, the population of the students was 70% male and 30% female. And about 15 years ago, when I came to the university, he said he looked forward to the day when it will be 50-50 as the champion of girl-child education. Baba was also the chairman of proprietors of private universities. This is an important position for him because they were lobbying the government for some of the challenges that private universities have, especially with us in Ogun State, where the largest number of universities than any other state. There are 15 universities in Ogun State alone. That is a challenge for anybody trying to run a private organization in Ogun State. But those of you also abroad online do not know the university of the state is close to the second border. And Baba was very concerned about the mushrooming of what he calls the legal universities in the second border. Unfortunately, most of them run by Nigerians. And a lot of the Nigerian students were patronizing these universities because they did not have a home or opportunities in their home country. Because some of these universities do not require to have JAM. And Baba, as chairman of private universities, were lobbying government that this is graduates produced from some of these institutions are substandard. And of course, the professionals also took on the case. And we must also acknowledge the role of the Council for Legal Education. They were the first to raise the alarm that some of these half-day lawyers from some of these places were failing woefully at the Nigerian Law School. They were followed by the Nigerian Institute of Architects, that some of these people being raised in some of these universities in the Nigerian system is 5 years to become an architect. There you can become an architect in 3 years or less, and of course substandard athletes, and they are the one building those buildings that are falling down. So it has consequences. They were followed by ICANN, professional bodies that you must go through the system. Baba was very concerned about standards and that we should not compromise standard in any way. So it brings us to today, it brings us to where we are at Crescent University from 20 years ago, that we are now in a position where we cannot have all the students that want to come here. And 5 years ago when I told Baba that we are about to turn around, that our population is now 70% female and 30% male. Because it was only for 50-50, but things have moved on. And I'm very happy and proud of that development. He also said that when we wanted to establish the College of Nursing, he asked me what it would entail. And I mentioned considerable amount of money, given the amount of money that it has cost us to establish the College of Law. But in a typical fashion, we found the money for us to start the college. And towards the end of his life, I went to tell him how the nursing students have been doing extremely well in public exams, the nursing council exams. And if you look on our website, you will see that in 7 consecutive public exams, there were 100% passes. Our biggest college, Tasmas, has established a number of us, and we have done extremely well. The Bola College of Law, I've also done well in establishing that a number of students have got first class in Crescent and first class at the Nigerian Law School. As we are speaking now, our bachelor students are engaged in the IBC International Boost Competition by invitation. That is a significant achievement. They are already national champions. They have now been invited over the last 5 years. They have been to Paris and The Hague, and currently there. If you look on our website, in establishing the university. But we want to round up and celebrate and appreciate that with Baba's demise, the proprietor, Prince Adeshagun Moru Ajibola, has taken over and he has carried on the legacy of the proprietor in establishing all the other things that we have asked for. We are at the last leg of our developmental plan. We are just establishing our knowledge lab, which will encompass cyber security, software engineering, computer science, and artificial intelligence. That we hope will take the first intake of students for artificial intelligence in October this year. The developments that we have had and what we celebrated a few months ago was the long service award. That those that have been in this university, what we found, that there are people like the deputy registrar who started with this university and are still here 20 years and more. And of course, the lecturer of today was also an award recipient, 15 years service to this university, and the number of people that you will see have been here in supporting Baba's vision. And in introducing the speaker of today, we want to appreciate his contribution, his numerous contributions to the university, not only as Dean of Student Affairs. He's a fair to all the students, and as Dean of Student Affairs, he has made that goal his own. And the fair of Kareem is the beginning of this term. And of course, as a Dean of Students, he's also a distinguished economist. He has produced a number of students, and I recall going to Kano at the invitation of the governor for one of the students, Fatima Abubakar, first class 4.85 in economics. If you see Fatima Abubakar, you will not imagine she could be that brilliant. But she told the governor that at Crescent University, all the opportunities were provided for her, and she was able to blossom. She now got another scholarship from the Kano State government to go to India for her master's. So Professor Kareem has contributed academically to the students and student welfare. And of course, the present position as the Deputy Vice Chancellor, that the challenges we are facing, they have been contributing to finding solutions. Those are the legacy of what Baba wanted. We have been working together for the last 15 years in moving the university forward, in meeting some of the challenges, our biggest challenges, energy costs. So that's why we are here, and we have invited the proprietor in the hope that we get more money out of him for further development as we move on to our College of Medicine, which is the last part of our strategic plan. So without further ado, I don't want to take too much of your time. I want to welcome today's lecture. Today is an historic occasion, the very first inaugural lecture in the history of this university. Kareem, you might wonder why it took us so long, but we were building, we are still building, and we continue to build, and at the appropriate time, now we have started, more and more of the lectures will come into place. But what we are thankful for is the dedication of the staff
that averagely 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, they remain with us. We continue to grow. All our programs are accredited. There is all the different challenges we have had in the last 2 years in trying to build the College of Law. We've got accreditation for the Masters in Law, the LLM. We have got full accreditation from the Nursing Council and increased the number of nurses. We started with 50, they have now moved us from 50 to 100, from 100 to 150, and from 150 to 175. We want to welcome the speaker to deal with some of the issues. And I think it's appropriate that this lecture is at the right time and some of the challenges of what we are seeing. I want to invite the University Rector. The problem that we are facing, one of the things that I've learned is the depth of resources that we have. That when somebody says we're a top 10 oil producer, we have been for the last 20 years. But it appears that oil is not our only wealth. We found out now lithium, those of you know about lithium, an important mineral. There is a great supply of this lithium in this Nigeria, in Ogun State. And I'm sure you heard about gold in Safra and other places. All of that will be outlined in this lecture. But the conclusion is we have a number of resources, we have been blessed with a number of students and staff, but unfortunately we are not managed it properly as we should be. So that's another Kareem. I want to invite Dr. Swati James Show the University Orator to read the citation of the lecturer of today.
الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم James, of politics in directors, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, I am pleased to read the citation of the Professor of Resource and Development Economics, a kind-hearted man, an erudite scholar, though highly principled and disciplined, on the occasion of his inaugural lecture, the fourth of his kind, in the history of this citadel of learning. From a humble beginning, in Shomolu, a suburb of Lagos, and about 6 decades ago, a male child was born. His father was Alhaji Musa and Olufemi Kareem, and his mother, Mrs. Asabot Kareem, both of blessed yellow. Born without a silver spoon, in today's inaugural lecturer, Professor Rasaki Olufemi Kareem is a male child born at Shomolu. He had his elementary education at the Muslim Primary School, Ishmael, between 1976 and 1982, and his secondary education at the Grammar School, Ishmael, between 1982 and 1987. In furtherance of his education, Professor Kareem had a stint at Government College, Oju, in 1988, before proceeding to Lagos State Polytechnic for his national diploma in general agriculture. Between the years 1989 and 1991, and in 1992, he secured admission through the direct entry route to study agricultural economics and fund management at the fabulous University of Agriculture, Abeokuta. Now, Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta, to obtain his bachelor's degree. Professor Kareem, Professor Kareem, at the Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta, Finland, Professor Kareem, because of his meticulous and goal-oriented attitude, was nicknamed Logistics. He was also an executive of the Muslim Student Society of Nigeria, MSSN, and a parliamentarian of the Student Union government. After his 1 year compulsory national youth service corps, which he did in Ogun State, Professor Kareem returned to Sudan for his master's degree in agricultural economics between 1999 and 2004. And Crescent is a doctorate degree. He proceeded to Inaugural for his doctorate degree in agricultural economics at the prestigious Olufemi University between 2005 and 2011. Great difference. While at Olufemi University, he won a fellowship to World Fish Training Center in Abasa, Egypt in 2006. And by January 2009, Professor Kareem joined Crescent University, Abeokuta, as a lecturer too in the Department of Economics and Actuarial Sciences, from where he rose through the career to the position of a professor of research and development economics in 2022. Professor Kareem has supervised over 70 undergraduate students and 15 graduate students. He is currently supervising 2 doctoral students in the same department. The pioneer inaugural lecturer has also mentored graduate and undergraduate students at Olufemi University and Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta. Professor Kareem had a number of publications to his credit, including over 70 journal articles and a chapter in the book. He also attended a number of local and international conferences. Worthy of mention is that Professor Kareem has recorded 977 citations of good scholars, with an age index of 17 and I-10 index of 25. He has also acted as a reviewer to a number of local and international journals, including IFE Journal, Agro-Sciences of University of Nigeria, Nsukka, Aquaculture Management, Scholars Bulletin, Journal of Discovery Agriculture, Springer and Nature, to mention just a few. Presently, Professor Kareem is the Chief Editor of the Crescent University Journal of Arts, Social, and Management Sciences, in an attempt to complete his tripartite mandate as a lecturer, Professor Kareem has contributed to community development. He was a member of the Muslim Community Constitution Drafting Committee, a member of the First Work Community Development Area of Abeokuta, former treasurer of the Grammar School, All Students Association, 1982-1977, and a member of Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta Muslim Alumni Association, to mention a few. The inaugural lecturer of today is a member of many professional bodies, including Nigerian Economic Society, Farm Management Association of Nigeria, and the Nigerian Association of Agricultural Economics. I think you can appreciate it. Thank you. Today's inaugural lecturer has strong business drive and expertise in Ghana, where he was a business manager for the Muslim Student Society of Nigeria at Finland, from selling Islamic literature to being a business center owner and a data analyst, and then a lecturer at Crescent University, Abeokuta. Within the university, Professor Kareem served in various capacities, including Chairman of the Resolve Committee, Chairman of the Admission Committee, Chairman Task Force of Discipline, Chairman Undergraduate and Postgraduate Proposition Committee for NEC Accreditation. I think you can appreciate. Communication and Presentation by Government Council, Member Committee of Deans and Directors, Head of Department of Economics and Actuarial Science, Dean Student Affairs, Acting Director Center for Entrepreneurial Studies. Additionally, Professor Kareem has also acted in capacity of Dean for College of Arts, Social and Men's Sciences on several occasions. And also, the Dean of School of Postgraduate Studies in 2022. By October 2025, today's inaugural lecturer was appointed the Deputy Vice Chancellor. In fact, Professor Kareem was one of the recipients of the Long Service Award by the university, having committed 17 solid years of unwavering dedication and meritorious service to the university. And also, Professor Kareem expressed his vision by listening to inspirational speeches, meditating and traveling. He is happily married to a professor of pathology and biology, Professor Kareem. And union is blessed with children who are presently in their medical schools. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to invite a disciplinarian, an elder scholar, a prolific writer, Professor Rasaki, Olufemi, Kareem, NNAAE, NNES, FFAMAN, FIDAN, a professor of research and development economics, to deliver his inaugural lecture, the first of its kind in the history of this university, titled Resource Efficiency versus Economic Development without Medina.
And Chairman of the Office, Crescent University of Abeokuta. Our Prince, Muhammad Maru, Abeokuta. The Chancellor of the same year, Professor Ibrahim Abeokuta. The Chancellor and Chairman of the Government Council, members of the Government Council, the Vice Chancellor, Professor Ibrahim Abeokuta, the principal officers of the university, deans of colleges, head of departments, my Lord spiritual and temporal, colleagues, friends from sister universities, my family members, the chairman, the PAR and distinguished parents here present, chairman and members of the ceremonial committee, gentlemen of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Crescent University students. How do we learn that the technology is relying on money? I don't think that God deserves to be worshipped except Allah is the one without partner. And I bear witness that Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is a servant and messenger. I'm very honored that we given this unique opportunity to deliver this inaugural lecture on behalf of the College of Arts, Social and Minor Sciences, CASMAS, the first and Series 01 of the University Inaugural Lecture from the College and the Incidentally, the first in the Department of Economics and Natural Science, Crescent University in the state. Greatly, a grateful to Almighty Allah for granting me the ability to adhere to the virtues of excellence, patience, and tolerance in my academic research, which earned me several opportunities and appointments as a pioneer acting director, Center for Entrepreneurial Studies, acting head of department, Economics and Natural Sciences, Dean, Student Affairs, acting Dean, Customers, acting Dean, School of Programming Studies, between August to December 2022, the current Deputy Vice Chancellor, and other various committee assignments in Crescent University of the state. It is customary in a university system for academia to give account of their academic journey to the rank of professor, for public to appreciate the contents and quality of academic activities and research output in specific discipline. My efforts in teaching and research have given birth to this inaugural lecture titled Resource Efficiency versus Economic Development within Nigeria. I count myself lucky to enjoy the special grace of Allah to be alive today, and it is my humble desire at this inaugural lecture to take a closer look at resource efficiency versus economic development within Nigeria. Today's lecture, which coincides with my area of academic research, stems from my background knowledge on the general statement that is very common to economists and non-economists alike, that Nigeria is blessed with both human and natural resources. Despite all these resources, where do we stand, or where does that leave us as a country? When we are growing up, I began to ruminate on how we are actually blessed with material and human resources in Nigeria. As of 2025, Nigeria's population is estimated at approximately over 237 million people, according to projection by the United Nations. Nigeria's population is growing by roughly 4.7 to 5 million annually, and all the federated states are blessed with various resources to aid economic growth and development in Nigeria. This will be seen in tables 1 and 2. Now, we need to look at the concept of resource economy. Resource economy is a branch of economics that studies how natural resources are allocated, managed, and used efficiently and sustainably to meet human needs over time. Gutenberg and Lewis 2018. The key concepts and principles in resource economics, we look at number 1, which is scarcity. Like other goods, natural resources are scarce relative to human wants and needs. Number 2, in terms of resource allocation. Resource economics analyzes how resources are allocated among competing uses, industries, and sectors. Number 3, optimal resource use. Resource economists seek to identify the optimal use of natural resources to maximize social welfare or economic efficiency. Number 4, resource extraction and production. Resource economics examines the economics of resource extraction, production, and exploration. Number 5, in terms of externality. Resource economics addresses externalities associated with natural resource use, such as population, habitat destruction, and climate change. And number 6, renewable and non-renewable resources. Resource economics distinguishes between renewable and non-renewable resources and studies the economic implications of their exploitation. The number 7 is property rights and governance. Resource economics considers the role of property rights institutions, and governance structures in resource management. We also look at the sustainable development. Resource economics emphasizes the importance of sustainable development, which involves meeting present needs without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. Now we want to look at the concept of development economics. Development economics is a branch of economics that focuses on improving the economic, the social, and institutional conditions of developing countries with the aim of enhancing living standards and overall being of the citizens. Now, we want to look at the branches of economics by subject. Figure 1 explains different branches of economics according to Ramia 2024. The particular emphasis with respect to sub-branches are the development economics, also have liberal economics, environmental economics, energy economics, industrial economics, agricultural economics, which are one of them, and many more. How does resource efficiency act as a catalyst for economic development or economic growth? Number 1, it enhances productivity. By using resources more efficiently, farms can produce more goods and services with the same input, leading to increased output and economic growth. Number 2, in terms of cost saving, increased resource efficiency can lead to cost savings for businesses, reducing production costs and improving competitiveness. And number 3 is environmental benefits. Resource use efficiency measures often involve reducing waste, emissions, and environmental degradation. Number 4 is the area of innovation and technological advancement. Pursuing resource efficiency goals can drive innovation and technological advancement. Investment in clean technologies, renewable energy, and sustainable practices can spur economic growth by creating new industries, jobs, and market opportunities. Long-term sustainability. By conserving natural resources, reducing pollution, and minimizing environmental degradation, economies can maintain their productive capacity and support continued growth over time. Now, we are trying to look at Nigerian state and their natural resources. Nigeria is one of those countries in Africa that has a wide variety of natural resources. Nigeria is usually endowed with a variety of natural resources, ranging from precious metals and various stones to industrial minerals. More so, Nigeria is endowed with 30.2 million hectares of arable land, 12 million hectares of freshwater sources, covering 960 kilometers of coastal land with significant ecological diversity, which enables the country to produce a variety of crops and livestock, forestry and fishing products. Unfortunately, around 1960, agriculture played a prominent role in the growth of gross domestic product in Nigeria. Nigeria was officially declared reserve as of January 1, 2026, according to the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, the port, has 7.01 billion barrels of crude oil and condensate and 215.19 trillion cubic feet of natural gas. We have a table that shows the Nigerian states and their natural resources. Each state with its own natural resources. And the question is, why are we where we are today, despite all these abundant resources that we have in Nigeria? Even looking at the population between 2023, 227 million, 2024, 232 million, in 2025, 237 million, and 2026, January to April estimate, we have over 240 to 242 million people. And despite all this, we are still doing. Now, this now leads on to the concept of Dutch disease. It's a way of describing the paradox that occurs when good news such as the discovery of large oil reserves and other mineral resources do not result in any improvement in the living standard of the citizen or the economy. We have resources, but people are not benefiting. That is the concept of Dutch disease. Dutch disease is also a phenomenon usually referred to as resource cost in literature. Resource cost is used to describe the adversical situation in which a country underperforms economically despite being home to valuable natural resources. As we have mentioned in that table 2. It may also be called the resource trap or the paradox of plenty. Looking at the poverty rate in Nigeria, despite abundant human and natural resources. Nigeria's key performance indicators in 2026 show moderate economic growth of about 4.3%, easing inflation compared to 2024 peak, and a more stable exchange rate environment following reforms. The root causes have been attributed to weak institutional poor resource management, under-investment in human capital, and inflation-driven insecurity. Thus, Nigeria's poverty crisis is not due to lack of resources at all, but inefficient management and under-investment in people. The table 3 tries to show the comparative poverty rate and population in poverty. Is trying to tell us why are we having so much in poverty level despite the abundant resources. That is what the tell us. Resource efficiency and economic development, which are Nigeria. Nigeria's dilemma of resource efficiency versus economic development reflects how vast national wealth has not translated So we are trying to look at the relationship between resource use efficiency and economic development. And we are trying to look at the impact of this resource efficiency on the economy in the economic area. The first point is that it enhances productivity. That is, for instance, adopting efficient resource use practices can lead to higher yields and income for farmers. Addressing inefficiencies in resource allocation. Research indicates that mismanagement of material, human, and financial resources hampers the attainment of development goals. Number 3, promoting energy efficiency for economic stability. Proper utilization of energy resources can lead to accelerated economic development. And number 4, advancing sustainable development goals, SDG. Resource efficiency aligns with the objective of the sustainable development goals, particularly in promoting responsive consumption and production. Number 5, encouraging investment and economic diversification. Improving resource efficiency can attract investment and stimulate economic diversification. We have figure 2 here, trying to show natural resources in terms of input, the flow, the generates resources, rent, and environmental pressure. We have the institution, which is the mediating factor, as well as the economic development outcome in terms of positive part, which has to do with infrastructure, education, industrialization, and the negative impact is inequality, disease, as we have explained before, and environmental degradation. Now, the section B aspect is my research experience. Mr. Banjak, sir. Part of my interest in infiltrating into the resource economies started from using the idea from one of our guys here, Professor Dudolu, open into fish farming aspect of determining the economic efficiency among fish farmers in the state. And my collaboration in the international organization, particularly World Fish Center in 2006, which was facilitated by a kind-hearted and spirited woman for success named Professor Stella Kola Williams. She now got to be here today. She's over 84 years and she sent college at Obasanjo University in Osun State when she was a member of the board of World Fish Regional Center, Sharifia, Egypt. It is interesting to note that I joined hands with police in the World Fish Center to present a paper in one of the conferences in Egypt, Sigawan Edaga, in 2006, where we looked at factors influencing fish farming productivity in Egypt, a case study of the Era province. The paper identified the various economic performance indicators of fish farming enterprises and described problems militating against farmers' productivity in the study area, that is the area in Egypt. The study concluded that although fish farming in the study area faced many challenges, but still an economically viable business and attractive to investors. As part of collaborative research effort and networking established after leaving Egypt in 2006, I was contacted again back in Nigeria, where we further looked at another aspect of previous work by Gamal before in 2008, and we examined the economic analysis of fish farming in the area refineries of Egypt. The study results revealed that the average age of fish farmers was 23 years, majority of the time were male. But results from the exponential production function model, which gave the better feed, also revealed that the quantity of fish feeds, which was a notable and severe factor at probability 1%, contributed to the fish farming enterprise in the study area. The study therefore suggested that there was a need for the establishment of producers' union or association that would assist the fish farmers in increasing the availability of commercial inputs, improved marketing distribution channels, creation of conducive environment for fish farming, sustainability through credit facilities and public enlightenment program on investment in fish farming activities in the study area. Back home in Nigeria, we conducted a similar study carried before 2008, where we examined economic efficiency in fish farming for the agricultural industry in Nigeria. The stochastic production frontier analysis was applied to estimate the technical, the allocative, and economic efficiency among the fish farmers in the state. The result of economic efficiency revealed that fish farming was economically efficient with a range of between 55% and 84% efficiency level, suggesting a favorable hold for the agricultural industry, such as poultry and cotton industry, etc. Based on findings, policies were suggested to be directed towards the encouragement of entrepreneurs in fish farming in the state by providing a enabling environment like credit facilities, public enlightenment programs, and provision of social amenities, etc., so as to improve the level of efficiency and investment, which shall eventually lead to growth in output of fish farming and establishment of agricultural industry in the state. In addition to the above studies, Kareem et al. 2008 examined the analysis of technical, allocative, and economic efficiency of different pond systems in Ogun State, Nigeria. It investigated the cost and returns analysis, estimated the technical, allocative, and economic efficiency among the fish farmers using concrete and earthen ponds. The result of the returns to Naira, that is return on investment, shows that earthen pond system yielded 8.0, while the concrete pond system yielded 6.5. The result of economic efficiency also revealed an average of 76% in concrete pond system, while earthen pond system made as high as 4% economic efficiency level. Similarly, the allocated efficiency result revealed that concrete pond system was 79%, while earthen pond had 85%. Stochastic frontier production function model revealed that one area, quantity of land use, and number of labor use were found to be the significant factors that contributed to the technical efficiency of pumping pond system, while quantity of field and labor were significant factors in the earthen pond. Kareem and Williams, 2009, evaluated the techno-economic analysis of aquaculture business in Ogun State with a view to developing a good business proposal for aquaculture loans to enhance aquaculture development in Nigeria. The benefit cost ratio showed 2.17. The internal rate of return was 21%, showing that the enterprise was able to offset the interest being charged on the loan. Kareem 2009A also investigated the economic efficiency of fish farming in the state. Looking at the findings, concluded that it has increased in penetration and more improvement in technical and price efficiency in fish farming enterprise, and more efficiency in the use of inputs would increase the potential for output growth. In addition to the above, Williams report 2012 investigated resource use efficiency among selected fish farms in Lagos State, Nigeria. The research investigated resource use efficiency of fish farming by examining the socio-economic characteristics of the respondent, estimated the resource use efficiency of the respondent, and identified problems affecting fish farming enterprise. The lead equation was a double-log model, which was chosen based on econometric and statistical criteria. Fish seed and scale of production were significant and positive, indicating that increase in this input would increase revenue by 42.8% and 42.4% respectively. The elasticity of the coefficients indicated decreasing returns to scale. The efficiency ratio of the fish seed was greater than 1, indicating under-utilization of resources, while the remaining resources input were over-utilized, having efficiency ratio less than 1. With a ratio of net profit to total cost being 1.29, showed that a naira invested would give 129 kobo, indicating the profitability of fish farming business in the state. In a bid to switch to ocean studies to blue economy in terms of fish resources, Kareem report 2012D investigated the economic of freshwater artisanal fishery in the water side of Ogun State, Nigeria. Gross margin analysis was used to determine the profitability of artisanal fishery enterprise. Stochastic production frontier model was used to estimate the technical, allocative, and economic efficiency of artisanal fishery system and factors influencing the technical, allocative, and economic efficiencies of the fishers. The cash flow showed net returns of 7 million naira, 447,000 cost per annum with an average of 620,000 naira, 62.8 per month. The maximum likely estimate of the parameters for the technical efficiency of the fisher pool revealed that number of fishing gears, outboard engine, difference of kerosene use, and quantity of bait used were found to be significant variable in the fish catch level with 1% probability level. The inefficiency function of the sample fisher pool revealed that age of the fisher pools, household size, gender, and mode of operation were found to be significant factors determining the level of efficiency with a mean technical efficiency of 0.77. The mean allocated efficiency was found to be 0.91, while the mean economic efficiency was 0.70. It was concluded that there was a significant difference in the level of profitability and that inefficiency existed in the use of fishing inputs among the fisher pools in the blue economy study. In the same way, Kareem report 2013A investigated the comparative analysis of the motorized and manually propelled technologies of artisanal fishery in Ogun State. The study was carried out to analyze the comparative analysis of efficiencies of artisanal fisheries in the water side of Ogun State. Stochastic production frontier model was used to estimate the technical efficiency of both motorized and normally propelled technologies in artisanal fishery system, as well as the factors influencing the technical efficiency of the artisan. The result of the comparison of the MPT and MT revealed that the average income per month for MPT was 361,847.48, and the amount appealed per month for the MPT was 560,705.57. The mean cash efficiency of MPT was 0.90 compared to MT with 0.98. The result of the returns to scale revealed that the parameters estimate of MT was higher with 4.35 compared to MPT with 2.56. And lastly, on resource economics, Kareem 2020 examined the impact of natural resources endowment, human capital development, and economic growth in Nigeria using time series data from 1980 to 2016. Several data sourced from Nigerian Bureau of Statistics, the CBN, and World Bank Development Agency were used in the study. The results showed that the actual value was 0.467, which showed that about 70% of the variable is being explained by the explanatory variable. The value of the horizontal statistics was 2.16, which indicated that there was no serial correlation in the model. The value of F statistics was 6.14 with a probability of 0.01, which was significant at 5% level. It was therefore concluded that natural resources endowment and human capital development has significant effect on economic growth. Again, natural resources endowment and human capital development has significant effect on economic growth, which means that the government needs to work, act very on these areas of natural resources endowment and human capital development. The importance of development studies stems from the need to assess and solve economic, social, and political problems that affect everyday's life or meet the basic needs of the world's growing population, Nigeria inclusive. Therefore, one of our studies, Kareem 2010, studied the impact of foreign direct investment on Nigeria's economies. The objective of this study was to show the macroeconomic variables, the foreign direct investment, the gross domestic product, gross capital formation, total export, external reserve, total external debt, and inflation, and examine the relationship between the FDI and its determinant in Nigeria. The regression result revealed that total export played a significant role in determining foreign direct investment. The correlation analysis also depicts strong relationship between the foreign direct investment and real gross domestic product. The findings concluded that there was a significant relationship between FDI and RDP at 1% probability level. As a preliminary to economic development studies, our team decided on the effect of global financial crisis on Nigerian oil revenue, which happens to be the major resource in Nigeria that will depend, and its attendant effect on sustainable economic growth and development. Kareem 2012 B drew secondary data from the CBN for the study. The objective of the study was to examine the effect of global financial crisis on oil revenue generation in Nigeria over the years. I think the issue of this research is what we are presently facing in Nigeria with the crisis in the Middle East. which has affected so many things. The study adopts regression analysis on the macroeconomic variables, exchange rate, and inflation. The research revealed that global financial crisis affected oil revenue generation in Nigeria, with particular reference to the period under review. If you are looking at that period, and this period now, the petrol now, the PMS is now 1,290, 1,300 because of the effect of what? The crisis of Iran, US, and Israel. And this has, and of course, into the crisis we are facing in Nigeria. The price of things have gone up. Consideration in that time of 2012, and we are also experiencing it now. So, which means that there is a correlation between what happened in 2012 and what we are having in presently in 2026. We saw posited that there was a negative relation between the variables exchange rate and inflation and oil output, but exchange rate was significant at 10%, implying that exchange rate determined oil revenue. The search for area of economic growth and development continued. Kareem report 2012 also investigated the factors influencing export volume in the Nigerian economy. The study adopts regression analysis and correlation analysis on the macroeconomic variables. What are those macroeconomic variables that we consider? Export volume, gross domestic product, interest rate, exchange rate, import, that is the trade openness and inflation rate. The study concluded that GDP, degree of openness, and total imports were important variables influencing the export volume that will contribute to economic growth and development of the Nigerian economy. In a similar study of development economics research by Kareem report 2013, where we go into the analysis of factors influencing agricultural output in Nigeria, macroeconomic perspective. The study adopts regression analysis, descriptive statistics, and the gradual causality test on macroeconomic variables. And the research concluded that food import, interest rate, commercial loan, and foreign direct investment were factors that contributed to agricultural output in Nigeria. Mr. Vice Chancellor, it's a well-known fact that one of the problems within this country, which makes the country still begging for accelerated economic growth and development, is governance. Yes or no? Therefore, two other researchers, and I said, Olufemi, Kareem, and others, 2024, examined the institution and the resource costs in Nigeria, which incidentally made the issue of the inaugural lecture to the government. This study looked at the relationship between institution and resource costs in Nigeria using secondary data of 1956 to 2012. And the result of correlation analysis showed that there was a negative relationship between the strong institution of Nigeria and resource costs, with coefficient of 12.003 between EFW and OE within the period under review, which is the economic period of the world and the oil export. We saw concluded that there was a need to strengthen the institution, that is, in terms of the size of government, the legal structure, and security of property rights in Nigeria to avoid the pitfall of resource costs. Furthermore, we also delve into another area of governance, with particular reference to democratic governance in the state. We had a scholar there, and we joined hands together, Kareem and others, 2014, investigated democratic governance and poverty alleviation and critical study of the state in Nigeria. This we use constitutional data for this research. But we saw today that the judges of the assembly agreed to generally use their votes. I want to believe the song believes that the children of the respondents agreed to celebrate their vote as a way of putting out any failed government in the city. It is someone against saying that there are not any meaningful agricultural growth and development in any country without giving into the goals and activities for rulers and leadership partly the will of the country. Governance has been described as the exercise of political power in the management of human affairs and material resources at federal, state, and local government levels. Thus, economic foundation of the country largely determines its political structure. However, to the large endowed human and material resources of the Nigeria state, all these are not been harnessed to improve the material wealth of our citizens, mainly due to stagnation of decline in the attention given to the agricultural sector by the previous administration, in power as a result of everything of 1970s. Kareem 2015 reviewed the agricultural development and political economy with particular reference to Nigerian experience. The study reviewed the concept of political economy, governance, form of governance, and economic policy. Theoretical foundation of government policy, a number of policy measures and programs aimed at advancing agriculture. The study concluded that though there have been a number of institutional frameworks that have been put in place by various governments in Nigeria, but the problem of political instability, lack of continuity in government policy and programs, non-implementation of programs, improper planning, corruption, no adherence to corporate governance, lack of transparency and the base of agricultural development and political economy in Nigeria. The study therefore recommended that unless there is an attitudinal change among our political leaders who champion the political and economic affairs of this country, the expected growth and development envisaged in Nigeria's agricultural sector and the economy at large will be in error. Research also tells the poverty in Nigeria. We cannot emphasize on poverty because we have a lot of resources. Kareem 2015 examine the impact of entrepreneurship on poverty alleviation. The study objective describes the socio-economic barriers of the Estonian and Turkic area, determine the relationship between entrepreneurship and poverty alleviation, and offer the definition based on such findings with a view to reducing poverty through entrepreneurship in the state and Nigeria in general. Meanwhile, most of the Estonians claim that government taxes by local, state, and federal governments were among the problems encountered in their businesses. However, majority of the Estonians suggested that another way of alleviating poverty was through job creation in government ministries and infrastructure. The study concluded that there was a significant relationship between entrepreneurship and poverty alleviation at 1% poverty level. Further to the above study, Kareem 2015 studied the pattern of poverty rate in the state using a case study of Abeokuta local government and studied using civil statistics and data analysis to achieve the study objective. And this research concluded that the educational level and household side of the respondent has significant roles to play in the poverty rate in the study area. Alongside other researchers, Kareem before 2017, research into commercial bank financing and agricultural sector output in Nigeria. The study described the trend of agricultural domestic product, the commercial bank loan to the agricultural sector, determining the effect of commercial bank financing and agricultural sector output in Nigeria, as well as make policy recommendations based on research findings. But the findings revealed that there was a positive relationship between commercial banks to agriculture and the agricultural domestic products. As mentioned earlier, scheme of food security Kareem report 2023 examined trade liberalization and food security in Nigeria. It doesn't data extracted from the CBN and the Standard Bulletin. Unit truth was performed with use of this barometer to ascertain the seasonality of the variable and were found to be seasonal at first difference. But the study concluded that trade liberalization variable in terms of trade openness, actual foreign direct investment, exchange rate, has great impact on food security in Nigeria within the period under evaluation. Mr. Finance, the issue of climate change is sustained development will attain is being fed by both developed and developing countries, including Nigeria, as a very important in sustaining development goals. Given the effect of climate change on agricultural output or food security and its attendance on sustainable development in Nigeria, it is important to note that various researches were conducted in conjunction with some of my colleagues and my project students. For instance, Kareem report 2028 examined the climate change, agricultural output, and economic growth in Nigeria. Several data sources from the CBN and Nigerian Meteorological Agency were analyzed using augmented molecular or unit tests and variable tests. Thus, we concluded in that standard a non-known relationship. Climate change has a significant effect on agricultural output and economic growth in Nigeria. In a related research on climate change, we are trying to include another variable, population growth rate and economic growth in Nigeria. Also using the CBN and urban indicators and the Meteorological Agency for analyzing. Also, the between land project was adopted for climate change since those powers were dependent of their land and home, as there was no indication why agricultural model was prepared for population growth rate, as those powers were dependent of their land and use, and there was no indication. The study also revealed that bad growth rate and net inflation adversely and negative impact respectively on economic growth in Nigeria. It also showed that there was unidirectional prosperity between food deficit and economic growth and life expectancy at part with economic growth. One of the cardinal areas of an academia is community service, apart from lecturing and research engagement. I wish to state on the record that I work closely with many vice chancellors, Professor S. Professor K. Okileye of Crescent Memory, as well as the current Abeokuta and Achievement Vice Chancellor, Professor Kareem. This interaction made me participate in many cases of university assignment. For instance, like I said, I was the permanent director of the Gas Studies, Admission Committee, Chairman of the Committee, and Chairman Student Welfare and State Management Committee. I worked with the PRO of Muslim University of Nigeria, Federal Abeokuta branch, Member of the Committee, Abeokuta, most Federal Committee, Abeokuta. I also come to be the member Cultural Committee is for Muslim community. Please, my member, now please stand for your opinion, that you must, and that's my own plan in Ogun State. As well as the former financial secretary of Food Student Association, Ishajama Mission, between 1997, there's our responsibility. Dr. Please, can you also start for the position? Yes. From that Food Student Association. In conclusion of the topic of today, resource efficiency versus economic development within Nigeria. It is important to recognize that the pursuit of economic economic development in Nigeria is intrinsically linked to efficient use of its resources, as mentioned in the earlier part of this lecture. Nigeria, with its rich natural and human resources, stands at a critical juncture where leveraging these assets efficiently can significantly improve its economic growth and development. It is instructive to state that improving resource efficiency is indispensable to the realization of desired economic growth by enhancing productivity, reducing costs, and promoting environmental sustainability. Conversely, sustained economic growth requires efficient use of resources to ensure long-term prosperity and well-being of the citizens. Drawing on the efficiency in natural resource usage, Nigeria can boost economy and create jobs for its citizens. At the end of the implementation of resource use efficiency, Nigeria will no doubt meet the sustainable development goal. Number one is no to poverty. Goal two is also talk about zero hunger. And three is talk about good health and well-being of the citizens, subject to our application of what? The utilization of resource efficiency. Having discussed all that I mentioned, the statement is saying that resource efficiency is a simple law to sustainable economic development of nations, especially Nigeria. Therefore, integrating resource efficiency goals into economic development agenda strategy is essential for achieving sustainable economic development. One reality is that it does not matter how many resources you have. If you don't use them viciously, it will never be enough. That is the purpose of solving in the means of plenty, the case of Nigeria. Mr. Vice the recommendation. Sir, to mitigate the dust disease, like you have said earlier, where we have resources, but citizens are not benefiting from those resources that we are blessed with. And as well challenge, Nigeria will focus on clarifying its economy by investing in sectors such as agriculture through mechanization, especially in the agrarian communities, innovation in manufacturing sectors, technology driving, building, and services. This clarification will reduce the economy's reliance on oil, which has been the problem of Nigeria, and make it more resilient to external shocks. Serving the institution. One of the problems we discovered to have studied the attainment of resource efficiency is the big institution. And it is strongly advised that the government should strengthen the institution. When we talk of the institution, it has of course, in terms of the legal framework, the agreement-based hiring of civil servants to improve governance, transparency, and accountability in the management of our common good, which is the resources. It has been argued and documented that Nigeria ranks one of the 5 out of 108 countries in the corruption perception index, according to Nigeria Transparency 2024. This means that for us as a nation, to attain sustainable development, our public officials and public office holders must show corruption and in all its ramifications. And public security, it is recommended that the government should enact policies that will improve trade openness with a view to boosting food security in Nigeria and provide an enabling environment that will foster investment in the agricultural sector in Nigeria. Also, research and development. With reference to various issues raised in this inaugural lecture, the Nigerian government can leverage on research and development to tap into various mineral resources. And we will also talk about natural resource management that develop and enforce policies that promote sustainable natural resource management, such as sustainable mining practices, forest management, and water conservation. We also need to look at the public awareness campaign. Conduct awareness campaign to educate citizens about the importance of resource efficiency and sustainable effect of sustainable development and various areas of God education in Nigeria, especially empowering them in Nigeria through national orientation agency. Now, there is a revelation of Allah's verse in Surah Al-Fat, 1 verse 3. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ذلك بأن الله لا ينزل عليهما الهدى والعطاء يجعلهما في أنفسهم وأن الله سميع عليم. And Allah says, and God will never change the favor which He has bestowed on the people until they change what is in themselves. And indeed, God is He who hears and lays all things. That is, Allah does not change the people that He bestowed on the people until they change what is within themselves. And Allah is hearing and knowing. Finally, the resources of the country do not belong to the individual. That is the challenge of God. But to the state and for the judiciously used in the interest of the generality of the citizens. Therefore, leaders must be held accountable for the resources of the people, and Nigeria's economic development trajectory will only depend on its commitment to sustainable resource management. Acknowledging Mr. Chancellor, sir. Please permit me to acknowledge and appreciate the view of many individuals who have assisted me in making my television a small one. Firstly, my thanks to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for this rare opportunity given to me for today's inaugural lecture. Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alamin. Laka alhamdu maulana ala kulli ni'mat. Again, appreciation to the great founder. The Vice Chancellor has spoke extensively on the great founder, Bola SAN, KP, CFR, SIRP, as well as the final chairman, Board of Trustees, Ms. Muhammad Maru Adeshetu Adebola San. The management of the defense of Abeokuta, Professor Ibrahim Badabia, the registrar, university librarian, the bursar, and most of others. I want to acknowledge my supervisor, Professor Stephen Oyilu. He is also joining online now. He has also retired from Obafemi University, and he has apologized for the inability to be here. But I'm appreciating me for his active role in the completion of the PhD and Department of Economics in and Professor Abeokuta, co-supervisor from the Department of Economics in Great. Similarly, my other mentor, Professor F. who acted as in-local relative and facilitated the first opportunity to travel out of the country to work each regional center teaching. I always remember the advice of our very almost Egypt here. Please, Kareem, if anyone dares to give something for you or her, please do not accept it. It was later I appreciated the indication of that statement when people were being sent to jail for ignorantly, accepting controlled substances like cocaine and selling. I appreciate that opportunity man. Also online and also appreciating her. This is the evening experience with scientists and non-scientists. I must say that I appreciate all other lecturers in the Department of Economics, Professor Ayamale, Professor Jani, Professor Ebu Ali, Professor Abiola, Professor Barua, and I thank you for this, the additions. Dr. Salisa and Professor Salisa, Professor Al Azari, Professor Olufemi of the Department of Economics, and those of others. I must also recognize friends and colleagues from the University of Lagos, Abeokuta, and University of Ibadan University, Professor Kareem, Professor Inaugural, Professor Abeokuta. Please, I and Dr. Corporate, please, you are once again recognized, and Dr. Olufemi among others. My gratitude also goes to all my fellow lecturers at both undergraduate and graduate period at the Department of Agricultural Economics and Farm Management. But emphasis was given to the lives of Professor Abeokuta. Please. That Professor he also said in the USA now, and he's also doing one night. My professor, Professor R.E. please get me to you. Yes. He happened to be one of my mentors. When I was applying to Crescent University, and I was on my PhD level, he advised me, please face your PhD. If they ask you to go and be the head of the department, don't take it right now, but you finish your PhD. I see the before that advice. Professor Luke, Professor Noah, Professor Latif Soni, and others are all recognized. I'm grateful to my teachers, friends for primary schools and education, middle hostel schools, Ishori School, where one was attended by classmates and a entire student association, especially in 2007, edited by Pastor Samuel Lafua, I told you, President, you is not here, for his spirit is here. I'm fabulous, like one said. As well as Funama family in Abeokuta, please, I recognize all of you and appreciate you. And you in the diaspora. I also want to thank my students. And those who are graduates, have the faculty, here, for this. Yes, please. For their roles in the exact outputs that led to the realization of today's success, that is Inaugural lecture. I thank all my past and present students for being a wonderful team. I appreciate all of you. Around 2023, I was notified of a forum in Ishori. In my own town, named Forum of Ishori Professors, FIP, where it was mentioned to me that one of the core mandates of the forum was the award of scholarship to indigent students, and I was motivated to join the group. I want to appreciate the chairperson of the forum, Professor Abeokuta. Please stand up for the recognition. I want to appreciate you for taking your time to come. And other members like Professor Olufemi, the founder of the forum. They are sent to lending one of the remarks and to me this morning. Professor Dixon, to lead the group, is also a member. His letter just called me behind the scene and promised me a token. I just saw that of 100,000 naira. Professor Professor Wu, Professor Wale, Professor Olufemi, Professor Abeokuta, Professor Kade, Oderi, Professor Abeokuta, and also others are glad belonging to a group of heritage scholars. We are being possible for me to contribute to human capital development of my farm, which was in the group. Thank you. I also appreciate my colleagues and my team in the College of Arts, Social and Health Sciences, CASMA, and colleagues in the Department of Economics and Agricultural Sciences. Emeritus Professor Kamaludin J. Alufu, please, sir. So, and Professor A. Professor Inaugural, Dr. Isaka, Edwin Ali, Rasaki, Edwin Abeokuta, Dr. S. Udalajo, who were my citation, Dr. R. Dr. Tonya, who happened to be the Jansi, Dr. Tonya, and Mr. Dubin, Ojuobe, W.A. Soyalu, and two, and no others. I I must give special attention to Emeritus Professor Kareem for his words of encouragement and shows in the realization of my academic career. Having gotten the required level of communication, I will always remember you how you always advise me to keep going with my steadfastness, as well as the confidence you repose in me, to regularly and consistently act in capacity as the active dean of the college whenever you have national and international engagement. May Allah bless you greatly and prolong your life to witness more progresses of many academic staff in the College of Arts, Social and Management Sciences. I want to appreciate other members of the Senegalese community, Date Alaji Bakori, up to the Power University Bosa, the University of the Senegal Islam, Professor Mohamed Kasim Bakulo, the current dean, Bakulo S. Dean Professor School, Professor A. Mustafa, Professor A. Abeokuta is also recognized here, Dr. A. Oyelaki, the acting dean Seaport, is the man that always carries that up, is the dean of Seaport. So Melissa, I think, is also carrying that up everywhere he goes. Director of Abeokuta Business School. Then, Professor A, who already Director of the Professor Babaola, Director of Design and Beyond. You are also recognized as Acting Director of Planning, Mr. Adela Adeli, and host of others. My sincere appreciation goes to my dear parents, Alaji Musali Abolojo and Mrs. Asana Kareem. They are all of guest memory. Please assist me in reciting to allow My parents, though, gave me both Islamic and Western education, which made me who and where I am today. May Allah forgive them and count them among the image of Al-Jannah. I appreciate my siblings, goodness, health, profession. Please carry on for your recognition. Yes. Sweetheart, Adeokuta, my sister, and my great sister is studied but Mustafa is also here to recognize in this inaugural lecture. Other forms of mention are the clinically, that's our big of family now. That is our family. I want to say thank you for coming. They are not before my arrival. All the way from Ikorodu, because of this time. I also have others, Land Muka Kali, Lukman Kali, Shaki Kali, Numi Kali, Numi Kali, and Kali, said, my sister, Mrs. Muslima Kali, please go please. You are also here, all the way from the Lodi, not because of the Gala Festival. And my in-laws with Alaji Apampa and Sugar Grease to Alaji Apampa, Yada, Kareem was saying Yada, which do not belong to Sister Yada Apampa, is here now. And Edna and Apampa, Professor Dada Apampa, so Apampa for Apuri, you are recognized before when the piano was also recognized. For the Islamists for that. Last, I must not forget those who control this inaugural lecture. Morally, financially, and those who control in no small measure to the manuscript with suggestion towards making today a reality are greatly appreciated and well organized. Imam Kareem, from now, and the wife, we are also recognized there. Please, let's give me a round of applause. Our NLC, Dr. Alewali, Science Media, and the one is also here, Blue. Before handing off this inaugural lecture, I wish to appreciate His Royal Majesty, Oba Abdulrahim, Omotayo Kosi Salami, the Chancellor of the Kingdom. You better really want but I expected him to be here today, but I acknowledge his contribution to the development of my dear Ishon Kingdom. Our king is not just a leader, but a patron of education, a custodian of progress, and a lover of enlightenment. His reign has consistently fostered peace, innovation, and academic excellence in our town. May you live long, sir. Wherever you are, I'm meeting you here. Kareem, keep our presence, Ejoba, and to my king. I also want to represent the Muslim community that will be represented by the John please, and my brother, Larry Abeokuta. Please, I want to recognize you. Please, stand for your position. John Abeokuta is Larry Abeokuta gave me 50 naira. In fact, it's like 2 million today. You know, when you are in a particular state and continue to look for people that know in the state and abroad, what do you know? Father, I don't know. I'm married to a loving and loving man of Scotland. For the father, she has been so supportive and wonderful in our early career. I want to wholeheartedly appreciate you for caring with me all these years when there was little or nothing to be part of our husband. But then, you stood by me in those big and thin days. But people have been asking me, why did you have married 7 wives? I'm sure you are still using what I'm married for. You have all cooperated with me on this journey, and so far, I pray Allah to bless you all and you and see proceed for God and His loving family. I have Dr. Sulaiman Abakari, Dr. Olufemi, please. We will recognize the president and all of us that are not willing to mention in this presentation. Please follow me, you are all recognized. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you all for your distinct attention. Jazakumullah khairan. God bless you all. You are ready?
Kindly sustain the rising and rousing ovation. Thank you very much. That was an excellent, exclusive delivery by Professor Rasaki, Olufemi, Kareem, FMLES, MFANES, MLAES, Professor of Resource and Development Economics, and Deputy Vice Chancellor, Crescent University, Abeokuta. Congratulations, sir. Prof has been able to give an account of his academic trajectory up to the professorial level. Congratulations once again. We have our chief as I invite the professor and chairman board of trustees, Prince Maruf Adekeru. Before I invite the professor, the inaugural lecturer will hand over the part containing his lecture to the vice chancellor. Thank you very much. Congratulations once again. As I invite the professor, chairman, board of trustees, Prince Maruf Adekeru, the senior advocate of Nigeria for Islam.
Kareem, thank you, we talk about Allah for making this day possible. Without him, none of us will be here. Without him, none of us will do anything and have him to give us hope. Our family to him is eternal for that reason. And I'm grateful to God that all of us are here. I'm going to here that this very thought-provoking inaugural lecture. We have done my attendance here for weeks in different ways. So I knew that I had no choice but to leave Lagos in the rain this morning. I'm very happy that I leave because it's worthy of our presidents to encourage academic development in this matter. And I wonder why for 20 years we never thought about having this kind of lectures or everyone. But inshallah, now that we have started, there's no going back. We continue to move forward. I don't want to say, because if you look at the program, I am not stated there coming here to say this at all. But I think the likely advantage of my presence, anytime they see me, particularly when we don't get me every year, I'm going to see my face. I remind you of what we had. We will not be saved. So I thank you all. The whole day has been spent. It's time to look at the last day now. I think that the more important aspect of this journey today for us to attend. And I need to go back to the we are around the whole time. I don't really want to go anywhere in that. But if you take your time, soon I will be more often, I will hear more often than I do now. Because that's my plan. The university has outgrown all of us. As you can see, the population is growing in leaps and bounds. The staffing is growing in leaps and bounds. So much our infrastructure and our development grow in tandem with all those things that we are doing. We can't leave one for the other. So I think it requires more attention than before. I was telling you that this was earlier on that I haven't seen him for a while. Only said me, only time he said it can't be audible by what we need to do that. So all of us think that our responsibilities is important for us to appreciate the fact that we must pull up our sleeves and be prepared for more work and more work so that we can remain on the map of recognizable and sustainable institutions as the university. Because in this environment, there are so many other institutions now. The government is giving licenses to more people. So we're in very serious situation where
confusion is key, and we need to really rise up to the occasion. So I thank you once again for your patience, for your time, for your sacrifices, and for your care. God bless you all. Thank you.
I think my provider deserves more than that. Thank you very much. The proprietor and chairman of the trustees, Prince Maruf Alisha Mwadibola. Without further ado, I will rise for the Crescent University anthem and the national anthem. Only the first stanza and the national anthem, please. Congratulations. And a round of applause for all of us who have prayed to special occasion. Congratulations.